Hello, I'm Mike West, Media and Voter Education Specialist with the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. The November 4th general election is just around the corner and will allow voters to make important decisions on candidates and issues. The ballot will include candidates for U.S. Congress, governor, and statewide offices, the Ohio House and Senate, county executive, county council in odd-numbered districts, judicial seats, and nearly 100 local and county issues. Today with me is Dennis Anderson, the manager of the Outreach Department with the Board of Elections. And we're here to talk and prepare voters for what they need to do to successfully cast their ballots in this election.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
So it seems to me that a lot of people may not understand that there's an election each year. We get a lot of hype and a lot of attention to the presidential elections, and sometimes when we're close to that, it seems like that's all we hear about.
Right. I know sometimes when I'm out in the field, people ask me, well, what do you do when there's not an election? So then I just walk them through the process of saying, you know, we have elections on the federal level, the state level, the local level, and then we start all over again. So either we're preparing for an election or we are finishing up with an election. So there is an election every year.
So we want to remind people to be sure and participate. This year, as I mentioned, it's the governor and high state offices, and of course to all the local communities. Many of them have important issues on the ballot.
Absolutely.
So what are the methods of voting? I'm sure a lot of people just assume, well, on election day you go and vote, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Right. There's, like right now we are currently into early voting. You can come down to the Board of Elections to vote, 2925 Euclid Avenue, 8 to 5. We do have a website that we're going to post up so you can check for additional hours there. Then there's also early voting, vote by mail. So traditionally, you had to request there were certain qualifications to receive and to vote by mail. We've gone to a no fault, so everybody, anybody, all eligible voters are able to vote by mail now. They just need to do an application, which all voters in the state of Ohio have been mailed an application by the Secretary of State. Complete the application, mail it in, and then your ballot will be mailed to you. And we'll mail that ballot to you anywhere in the world. So,
and I should mention that if you lost the ballot that was mailed to you by the state, or if you don't think you got one,
right,
you can go to any library branch and get an application, or you can go on our website and generate one, or you can call 443-VOTE, and we will mail you an application. Of course, that's area code 216. Well, let's just go back to this no-fault voting business. I understand in 2006 they changed the law. Prior to that, you had to be sick or elderly or have a reason. And so that's really opened things up. I think at one point the county had just about half of the people were voting by mail. And of course, the advantage to that is the more people that vote by mail, the less pressure on election day for the poll workers, and there's
absolutely,
the lines are shorter.
Absolutely.
And you know, there's some myths about vote by mail ballots and how they're handled down at the board.
You know, and I think that one of the things is voting by mail allows you more time to look at the ballot. It's a full page. It is a full front and back 2-page ballot. Some areas have 3 pages. However, the majority have 2 pages. So with the candidates and the issues, it's just always good to research it and study to see how you're going to vote. One thing about early voting is those are the first numbers that are counted after the polls close at 7:30 election night. So all of those early votes do get counted, and they are the first votes that you see.
So we should explain a little behind the scenes. What happens is all these ballots are processed. When they come into the board, they come in with identification envelopes with signatures and forms of ID, and then the staff of dozens and dozens of people looks at every one of those and verifies that the signature is correct, and if something's amiss, they're set aside. So it's very secure way to vote. And as you mentioned, you can put that ballot next to your computer, go online,
Absolutely.
study the candidates and issues, and you don't have to feel rushed on election day. And, you know, I hear again and again people wonder about, do these get counted? How do they get counted? Well, we are allowed to scan those ballots before the polls close and then tabulate them right when the polls close. So if you vote by mail or vote early, your ballot actually gets counted first.
Right, and that's just it's a two-part process. So scanning is the first part, and then they get loaded on a memory stick and locked away. And then the tabulation at the end of the night, as you mentioned, the tabulation is the second part. So we don't know how you have voted. We just know whole numbers of we have scanned X amount of ballots.
And there's other people that they get a vote by mail ballot, meaning they get a ballot in the mail, but they prefer not to mail it back. They'd rather bring it to the Board of Elections themselves. And by the way, if you find yourself on Election Day and you've forgotten to mail your ballot, the only place you can return it on Election Day is to the Board of Elections.
Absolutely.
So don't get confused. And another important deadline while we're on the subject is the day before the election, November 3rd. It has to be postmarked on or before the 3rd, or you must bring it to the Board of Elections for it to be counted.
Now we have just installed a brand new drop-off mailbox, oversized, clearly labeled in the back parking lot, so people can drive through, drop it in the box, and continue on their way.
Okay, so I guess this is an improvement because you don't have to go into the building or get out of your car. You
Absolutely.
just drive right through.
Absolutely, and it's the box is secured. They pick up every evening. If it's busier during the day, they'll make hourly pickups just so they can get all the ballots inside, and it's just very convenient.
Right, and very secure. The 24-hour camera surveillance, and so you can early vote weekdays from 8 to 5, and on the 2 Saturdays before the election, and the Sunday before the election, and for part of the day, the Monday before the election. So there's still plenty of time to vote early if you prefer. Maybe you work downtown and you can drop in on your lunch break.
Absolutely. And if I could just mention one other thing, because we've optimized our website. So meaning people that have smartphones, regardless to what size it is, or notepads, when they go online, and our website is 443vote.com, it will optimize our website to the size of your device automatically.
So now how is this an improvement? Before, did you have to look at very tiny pictures and move your finger around or the little stick that comes with those? I'm not a real technical guy.
Absolutely. Before, you would go to our website and it would open it up, and it may be too large for your screen. So you would have to scroll over, scroll up, scroll down to search what you're looking for. By optimizing it, it's going to make it fit right inside your screen.
Automatically resizing.
Automatically resizing, absolutely.
Okay, good. So that's another improvement we hope people will take advantage of.
And then also on our website, if I could mention that we do have a feature called Track My Ballot. So anytime during the process, you do an application, you mail it to us, we note what date that we've received it, what date we mail your ballot out to you. Likewise, when you vote your ballot and mail it back, we note that we have received your ballot. So if there's any questions along the way, have you received my ballot? When am I going to get my ballot? You can either go to our website and track it yourself, or you can call 216-443-VOTE.
Now, does this also work for ballot applications? In other words, can I make sure that my application was received so I know I can expect a ballot soon?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you do your ballot and you mail it, you do your application and you mail it back, we note that we received your application on, say, 10/15/2014. And then when we mail it out, 10/16, your ballot was mailed out to you.
Right. And then, of course, I assume when the ballot is received by the board, that's there. So a few days before the election, you can say, yep, they got it.
Absolutely.
And it's all fine.
And you can confirm that. And again, those early votes are the very first numbers that we see during after the election is over.
And I understand you can apply for a ballot right up until the Saturday before the election, but we advise against waiting for the last minute because in theory it could work, but if you have to depend on the Postal Service to get your ballot to you before the 3rd, you might be cutting it close. So if you plan to vote by mail, get your application in as soon as possible. And if you're cutting it real close, you can always come and vote early.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the good parts about early voting. Again, that timeline is the official timeline. It is a bit tight, so just taking out all the air gaps, the earlier you do it, the better it is.
So how have the lines been down at the Board of Elections for early voting?
You know what? It has been just a steady stream of people coming in. There are no lines. Each election and each election has its different dynamics. So this one is unique in the sense of it just has a different tone to it. I think that as of the other day, I think we had over 500 people come down for early voting totally since we
Right.
opened voting.
Not in one day.
Not in
just
one day.
Since it opened on the
Since
7th.
it opened on
Yeah,
the 7th.
okay.
So, people just from working, getting off from work on their lunch breaks, and 5 to 7 minutes, I think you can be in and out. By the time we have free parking in the back, come in, get your paperwork done, get your ballot, and vote it, and you're in and out.
That's good news for voters. If you drop in,
Absolutely.
there's probably not going to be any wait at all, or if so, just a small one.
Absolutely.
So this brings us to Election Day voting.
Election Day voting. Polls open. Election Day is November the 4th. Polls open at 6:30 a.m. They close at 7:30 p.m. If you do go to the polls to vote, please take your ID, a form of ID, driver's license, current utility bill, something with your current address on it that you can use as a form of ID. The polling locations, we are doing a voter information card that's going out to all voters. So on that card, it's going to list your voting information, polling location, ward precinct, all your district information, so you'll be aware of where to go if you have any questions. And likewise, having the 443 vote and the website, you can check that as well.
Sure. And we always advise people to be sure and go on our website or call us in case something has changed since they last voted.
Absolutely.
I was working the polls once, and a woman came running in. She had just moved to the neighborhood and didn't know where to vote. She saw the vote signs out front, and hopefully the poll workers were able to put her in the right place, send her to the right place. But, who wants to scramble like that on election morning? So it's always good to be a good scout and always be prepared for that.
And they do have, at each polling location, they have what they call the voter assistance table. So if anybody has any questions about where they go to vote, or if that is their location, the voter assistance table can help them with that and get them squared away.
Now, I know that everybody likes to proudly display their I voted today stickers. What about the people that vote by mail?
It just so happens that I because of working at the board, election day voting gets kind of cramped. So for me, and I recommend a lot of people to vote by mail. So now I just voted my ballot today. So when you do request your vote by mail ballot and you get your ballot, you get an I voted by mail sticker. So previously, people that voted by mail weren't able to get that sticker, so a new improvement is being able to have stickers included for everybody that votes by mail.
Yeah. So they felt left out, and now we reward them with that.
Absolutely. So I had to
looking
wear
sticker
mine
there.
proudly today.
Okay,
So
yeah. So election day, voting, bring your ID, make sure you know where to go to vote, ward, precinct, and polling location.
I think that, if there are any questions, and I stress this, because sometimes people do have questions that they may think they know the answer to or they have forgotten, they can just call. Again, just a phone call away, they can get that information so that they're aware of exactly what's happening on election day and what they're doing in order to vote, without being stressed out.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis. And as Mr. Anderson just mentioned, if you have any additional questions, you can contact the Board of Elections at 216-443-VOTE or visit the website 443vote.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Happy voting.
All righty.